Hello, Gemini, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the first week in February, the 1st through the 7th, and we do have a full moon that comes in for us on the 2nd. Sometimes that energy can last the day before, the day after, but that energy is usually heightened emotions, and sometimes some people could be prone to be overwhelmed and anxious or a little snappy and irritable. You might have changes in your sleeping patterns. That's something that I experience. I have nights when it's usually like the night before the full moon or the night of, where I feel like I just can't sleep. I'm so energetic. So like I'm just very hard for me to sleep, very affected by it. But it is a good time for us to practice releasing resentment and fear, and also practice patience and calm. So even if it's keeping you up, I mean, if it has me up, I just get up and do something. I just get up and be productive and use the energy. So we then move into the waning gibbous energy, and that is a time of self-reflection and rebirth, a good time for us to make positive changes and to get rid of our bad habits and negative thinking and working towards achieving our goals. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Gemini. So, as always, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is prosperity lies ahead. That's a fun card. I don't see that card a lot. So, in fact, I'm not sure if I've ever had that card in a reading that I've done on YouTube, and I've done over 1,000 readings at this point. So that's a lot. Anyway, prosperity lies ahead here for Gemini. Let's see what you guys have going on. As I'm shuffling, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you try really hard to get out in nature, take a walk in the woods, maybe a park, or find an area with a lovely view, and just take the time to really stop and connect with the miracle of nature. I know if you're like us, we're in a snowy, it's just all that snow weather that just came across the country. We're right in the middle of that. I don't even know if it'll be melted by then, but the full moon might be very pretty on the unmelted snow. Uh, so, just try to get out in nature. If you live in a warmer place, the rest of us are completely envious. So make sure you're definitely getting out there. Enjoy the ocean if you're near, because the rest of us are just jealous that you're in a warm spot because we're all freezing up here. All right. Anyway, let's get into this reading for Gemini, February 1st through the 7th. Prosperity lies ahead. Your present situation, look at you, the King of Pentacles. Very nice. So, some sort of prosperity, something coming in for you, it looks like. You have the knowledge to make it happen. Of course, you are. The king is about that. The king is about understanding money, understanding material things, and not only about yourself, but also the people around you, how everyone else is doing and what they should be doing. And so, you're kind of there in an advisory role, but also, just taking care of business for yourself. So I love that card, especially with the prosperity lies ahead card. Your current situation is the Knight of Cups. So also some sort of moving forward with kind of some emotional action. And, maybe it's just a little bit of celebration or a little bit of emotion about how well you're doing, because it looks like you are at the root of your situation. Things happening very rapidly here with the Eight of Wands. Also, eight does tend to be a very lucky number when it comes to prosperity. So I like that in your reading as well. In fact, the first two readings that I've just done for this week, it was Aries had 88 in their reading, and Taurus had 3 8. So we're seeing a lot of eights this week, which I love. And it's a full moon. There's a lot of myths about full moon. There used to be a thing when I was younger. There was an old wives' tale that I had heard from some family members, that if you wanted to get pregnant, you would take a cup out, and say, fill it up to the full moon, right? And some people said if you wanted money, you would take your wallet out and do the same thing. Let's try not to confuse the both, right? But full moon, and maybe it is kind of a time to manifest prosperity and think about those things. When we've got all this high energy, and it must come around for a reason. So maybe taking some time to kind of manifest things in the material world, not a bad idea for you this week, Gemini, especially with this kind of reading coming up for you. In your recent past is the Judgment card. So looks like you've come through to some sort of truth or some sort of knowledge that has kind of maybe changed your awareness about something or made you make decisions in a little bit of a different way. So that's always good. I mean, I feel like that's just a card of learning. Anytime there's some sort of judgment or something, it's because you have a new awareness about something. Some knowledge has emerged or you've evaluated something. So keep that in mind. On your mind this week, what you're thinking about here is the nine of wands. So that's interesting here. You're also looking back and kind of evaluating the past, which, this is a card that I saw a lot in January. And I feel like it is something that we all do, in January, kind of the end of December into January, how you're doing that. You're kind of evaluating things for maybe resolutions that you're going to add to your life or, changes that you're wanting to make. So it looks like you're still kind of in that mode and you're looking back and thinking, oh, well, could be this judgment that, I've learned this thing and let me evaluate how I want to move forward with that information. So go ahead and move forward. What is just ahead of you, speaking of moving forward, is the Five of Wands. So a little bit of debate here. Lots of wands showing up in this reading, right? Um, this could be a little bit of debate. It doesn't have to be negative debate. It could be debate about a way to do things. And you might learn, make sure that when you're doing a debate, I always say, hold your ground, but also have the open mind to listen to what someone else might say. If you look at this card, no one in this card has the same footwear. I was going to say shoes, footwear on, the same clothing. We're all very different and we all come from different places, but everybody has an opinion and a reason for that opinion. And sometimes if you're in a discussion like that or a debate, it is fun to hear the other person's point of view. Even if you might disagree, you can learn how to agree to disagree instead of it turning into a big fight, So good debate and good healthy debate as always, and it's always a good idea. In your advice position is the Tower. So to me, this means if something needs to fall, let it go. Let it go. If there's some sort of disruption, and especially when it's in your advice position, it's almost like face the disruption, or allow the disruption. This might, this just might be a new obstacle or something that comes up. There's just some sort of change or delay or something that just comes up for you. And because it's in your advice, it's almost like just learn how to manage it, learn how to manage whatever this is. Once you learn how to do it, you don't get to be presented with it again. That's how learning like that works. Especially the universe is like, hey, let's let you learn this lesson today, and you're like, what? Especially if it's some sort of delay, it's maybe the next time you won't be delayed because you're going to take different precautionary steps to prevent that from happening, and that's just how you learn. What is beyond your control this week is the Hierophant. So, the Hierophant is about seeking guidance. From someone who knows more than you. Many times this can be in a spiritual way, but I feel like it can be other ways as well. It's just you're looking for someone who knows more than you about a certain situation. If you are the king, this would be like the king talking to Merlin about something, right? Seeking the counsel of someone who may have other information that the king doesn't have at hand. So, it's just never a bad idea. If you have a question about something, I always think that if you're going through something, someone else has already gone through it. And if you can read their advice and how they manage something, that's always a good thing because we can learn from each other, right? What is your secret desire or what are you trying to avoid? Page of Swords. Are you trying to avoid communicating in a new way? Or are you open to that? Or is this like your new path where you're going to maybe think a little differently, communicate it a little differently? And that'll be your big question of the week to ask yourself, do I want to communicate differently or am I not open to that at all? And you know what? Different Geminis will answer that in different ways, and there's no right or wrong answer there. It's just different paths that you might take. So that'll be your big question of the week. In your outcome position is look at you with yet another 8, moving forward with emotional support at your back and really thinking about the future. And again, with the 8s, I can't believe how many 8s so far. I'm now up to that would be, this is the seven 8s that I've pulled out in the cards already this week. So that blows me away a little bit. I can't wait to get to my own reading and see if I have 8s in it as well. So do look up angel number 88, see if that means anything for you this week. And I feel like it's just embrace the delay, embrace the thing that's going to come up. You may need to seek a little guidance about it. but things are happening quickly, and I think you're going to debate some things about it also, whatever this thing is that's coming up for you this week. Um, which is kind of hard, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a lot of wands in your situation. Let's see what's hidden from you at the bottom of the deck. Hidden from you is the King of Wands. Very interesting. So all of these wands, you're definitely in control. And you've got this King of Pentacle energy, which is about the material world, but you're also surrounded by wands, which, wands are typically indicative of things that are very passionate. Um, yeah, so, yeah, there's just some things that are going on very quickly. Whatever that might be, it could be different. Tarot is a template. So this could, for some of you, this could be work related. For some of you, it could be related to your home life, your family. Could be something going on with a friend group. But this energy is to contemplate over anything. But embrace whatever the disruption is and learn from it, even if you need to seek counsel. But what's hidden from you is kind of the knowledge about these passionate things. So there might be something again that you need to listen to when it comes. Someone else may have some information that you need, and you need to learn from them. Let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Gemini from the Soul Oracle deck. And your final message is to engage higher reason. All right. That's a card I also don't see. This prosperity lies ahead. Engage higher reason. Very interesting. Two sets of, whoops, I'm going to drop this card. Two cards that I don't see a lot, if ever, in these tarot readings. New cards. Love it. All right. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. Self-care for Gemini this week. And the card that comes out for you is the card called Action. Baby steps are still steps, and they're better than standing still. Baby steps over here. Baby steps towards moving towards the future, maybe. Baby steps when it comes towards, debating things. I mean, it looks like you do need to take some sort of action this week. And it looks like you're going to be prompted to. There's things changing, things coming in, disruptions happening, but engage higher reason, Also, I want to point out that on this card, is the number 22, which I also see as kind of a material lucky card. Anything for me that has to do with fours or eights, and twos are involved with that as well. Prosperity lies ahead for you. I don't know what this means. Are you disrupted because you win the lottery? I certainly hope so, because my husband's a Gemini. So, are you disrupted because a large sum of money comes? That would be great. I'd be okay with that. But again, it's something you're going to take action on, and you're going to engage higher reason. I love this reading. I can't wait to hear some comments. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me one down below. Let me know, did you have something that came up this week? Were you debating what to do with it? Did you have some luck come your way this week where you were able to take on this King of Pentacles energy, which I love that. I think that's really awesome. But again, your outcome is just to move forward and know that you have love and support at your back, and maybe take those little baby steps here with some action like this card. It's better than standing still. So Gemini, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. I'd be happy to hear from you. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you. If you like my reading style, if you hit the like and subscribe button, that really helps me, and I would appreciate that so much. It also, more importantly, helps you find me next week, where you can come back. We can see if this energy continues or if there's something completely new here for you next week. So thank you so much for being here, Gemini, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.